I believe that art therapy can have a real positive impact on our mental health. I've been working on a series of videos designed specifically around stress, anxiety and depression. Not to necessarily heal those things, but to provide a safe place to be able to express exactly how we feel. The links to the other videos I've created in this series will be listed in the description box, so feel free to go and check those out if you haven't already. And I will also pop the links there to all the different tools that you might need to complete this tutorial. So I really hope that you enjoy it, guys. So the colours that we have here are titanium white, cadmium yellow, cadmium red, magenta and Payne's grey. So first of all, I'm just going to rinse my brush off a little bit. And as always, I'm going to start mapping it out with the horizon line. So I'm going to take some Payne's grey and I'm going to pop my horizon line just below the centre. About there, and then rinse off your brush. I'm going to start off with the sun. So taking a little bit of titanium white, I'm just going to pop in where I want my sun. So I'm going to pop it quite low down about here. Then I'm going to take some of my yellow and just make a light yellow mixture using the white and the yellow. And then I'm going to sort of go around that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my cadmium red. I'm going to add that to the mixture, but I'm going to make a sort of like a light pastel orange. So I'm going to add a bit more yellow and more white to that to make this lovely light orange colour. Then I'm going to pop a line over there, which is going to be a cloud. And we're going to just come around the sun. Then to blend that, I'm just going to go around the sun again with my brush, just to blend that out. And as always, we're going to go over this again, so we're just mapping out at this point. Then adding the yellow again. I'm just going to take that yellow a little bit more around the sun and then coming up above as well. Next I'm going to take a bit of the cad red and a bit of magenta and adding in more white again to make sort of a pastel colour. And then going to blend that in to the oranges that we've just put down. And you can use long sweeping brush strokes to blend that in. And you can use your brush just to blend in any little marks or brush strokes that you're not keen on. Okay, so next I'm going to take the magenta and using that pretty much straight from the palette, I'm going to then blend that into the colour we've just put down. And you can just add a little bit of water to that if that helps it to go across the canvas better. And to blend that line in further, you can go up and down in a diagonal motion. And then take it sideways again to get a really soft blend. So again, we can go in a diagonal motion. Okay, so that's just going to be our first layer. We can now move on to the first layer on the bottom half, and then we'll go over it all again. Okay, so taking my Payne's Grey again, I'm just going to reinforce that horizon line. And then also for the shore, I'm going to just add like the shadow of a wave. So you'll see what this is going to be in a bit, but this is basically just where the wave is coming up to. Okay, then rinse your brush out. Okay, so now we're going to pop in the reflection of above. So taking my white and adding a bit of yellow, we can add in that reflection of the sun, and to do that I'm going to go down but in a backwards and forwards motion. Now this is very watery because it's the first layer, so we are going to definitely go over this again, but just to show you where we're going to start putting things. And then we're going to take the red and we can go around that. And then taking the magenta, we can go around that as well. So then give your brush a wash out and dry it off quite well, so it's pretty dry. And then you can take your brush and again just use that backwards and forwards motion to just blend that and blend those lines. And then I'm going to take my magenta and I'm going to put in the first layer along all of the sort of sea, which is obviously going to be with a reflection. Okay, and just to blend in that line above, I'm going to take the magenta and I'm just going to run it over that horizon. And then just blend that out. Okay, so we've done our first layer now, so we're going to wait for that to completely dry and then we can start building up the layers and make it look more realistic. So give your brush a really rinse out now. When that's dry, and the top bit is definitely dry, so I'm going to work on this bit again. Okay, so we're going to add in a few little clouds up here. So I'm going to take some magenta and I'm going to add a little bit of Payne's Grey to that. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of white. And basically just create like this sort of colour. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. You can do it however you want. But I'm just going to start popping in this cloud. So using my brush, just going side to side to create some clouds. And then taking that mixture again at the other side. So at the top you might want to use your brush quite flat to get the big brush strokes, and as you come further down you might want to use the tip of it to create some more wispier, thinner areas. Okay, so now I'm going to add a little bit more Payne's Grey to that mixture, so it is quite dark, and then I'm going to pop that along the bottom of the cloud. And you can sort of blend that in. And I'm going to take that a little bit up at the top too. And with sunsets, I always like to put the darker clouds in the corners and the edges because I feel like it makes your eye more drawn into the center. So then we're going to wash our brush out really well. Next I'm going to take the cadmium red, and just on top of the dark areas, now we're going to show the sun reflecting and the cloud picking up the highlights. So along the bottom, we're just going to pop that red. Okay, and then rinse off your brush. Now we're going to take that red and we're going to add a little bit of yellow. And we're going to add in just a little bit of magenta, just to sort of dull it down a little bit, I suppose. And carrying on from that cad red, We're going to take those little clouds down, so some little wispy ones. And we can also add that colour a little bit up here as well. So here, to get a really soft blend, I'm going to use my finger, which you don't have to do. Obviously you can use gloves, and there are nasty chemicals in paint, so you do need to be careful. And if it's already dried, you can add just a little bit of water to that, then go back in to blend it. Okay, so that'll do for now. Now I'm going to start working on like the bottom of the horizon in the clouds. Now, taking my magenta, I'm going to take that up now, so we've got some clouds coming up, or it can be mountains, but for me it's going to be clouds. And then it's going to sort of blend into that orange a little bit. Okay, then rinse off your brush. Then, like we did at the top, I'm going to add just a little bit of Payne's Grey to some magenta. And I'm just going to add in basically like some clouds that are a little bit darker. Then rinse off your brush. So next I'm going to take some magenta and add it to some of the cadmium red to create more of like an orangey reddy pink. Then I'm going to take that into closer to the sun. Basically so it's like a cloud. And then I'm going to take my finger again and just blend out that top section. Next I'm going to take some of the yellow and I'm going to go around the sun. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of white to that yellow again to create more of like a pastel yellow. And pop in that sun again. And I think I'm going to take that colour into the clouds a little bit and also a little bit above. And then I'm going to use my finger. You can even wet your finger a little bit to help the paint move across the canvas better. So yeah, I'm going to just pop in that sun, and then I'm going to take titanium white and I'm just going to just almost like dab in the middle, so you've got a really nice concentrated area of white that's going to really pop out, and then rinse off your brush. So far I'm really happy with that sky, so I think it's now time to move on to the bottom part of the painting to tie it all in together. So taking the magenta I'm just going to paste that in all along the edges again. It's going to be really, really vibrant. And you can pop it on quite thick because we're going to be blending into it. Okay, so next I'm going to take a bit of the Cad Red. I'm going to add just a little bit of white. So basically I'm kind of reflecting the bottom of the clouds here. And then I'm just going to take that colour and start blending it in into the sea. Lovely, and then rinse off your brush. Okay, lovely. So next we're going to take the yellow, and you can see a pattern here. We're basically just working our way up the colours again. So taking the yellow, we're going to add a bit of white to create that pastel colour. And here, I'm going to take it again, coming down but in a backwards and forwards motion. And you can take that and blend those lines out as far as you like. You can sort of blend it out a little bit. And then you can take the colour again and then go back over the top. To create bolder lines. And also you can do this with a smaller brush. I don't know why, I just really like to use a big brush for like most of the painting. But obviously feel free to add these details using a smaller brush. Fabulous, then rinse out your brush. Next I'm going to take some of the Payne's Grey, and I'm going to use this to really set the horizon. So you want to make sure you've got a pretty straight line here. So I'm just going to add a little section coming in, and then I'm going to sort of blend that into the sea, like that. It's not a big thing, but it's just going to add an extra little pop of colour because of the contrast. And then I'm also going to add in some just little like wavy sections here where there's a shadow. Okay, so doing the same on the other side, I'm going to take the Payne's Grey. And then I'm going to pop in that wave again coming down here. And also just blending that in, just like some little waves. And if you want to, you can also just take that into the sea even, in little areas. Okay, then rinse off your brush. Now that this top bit is dried, I want the clouds, they're a little bit too translucent in the darker colours, so I think I'm going to go back over those with the Payne's Grey Magenta. Obviously yours will look a little bit different at this point, so you don't have to follow this step if you don't feel like you want to. So I'm just going to take some magenta and add in some Payne's Grey. And you know that I am a sucker for a palette knife when it comes to sea. So again, you don't have to do this stage if you don't have a palette knife, or if you like it the way it is. You can use a credit card, or let's maybe check that it's not a credit card that we still want to use. But we can use many different ways to get these sort of lines. But I'm going to use a palette knife, quite a big one as well. And so what I want to do now is just create lots of little details and highlights into the sea. So we've used this method quite a few times now on different tutorials. So if you want to get some paint on the edge of your palette knife, like that, and you can just tap it down to get the excess off. And I'm just going to sort of like slice it almost across the painting. And you can just see it picks up some really nice little areas. So I'm going to add a little bit of white to some magenta. Get more of a, maybe not that light, but to get just a little bit of a lighter colour. And then I'm going to get off the excess and then just again get it on the edge of the palette knife. And you can do this with all the different colours in there. So next I'm going to take some Cad Red. And again, put it on the side of the palette knife. I mean, this is coming out quite strong, which I'm not sure that I love. But you can always do it and then undo little areas that you're not keen on. Or you can put your palette knife flat down and tap it onto the paint, and then with your palette knife perpendicular to the canvas, you can drag it across. Then I think for the final step, I'm going to just on a tiny bit of the palette knife, take some of that really nice pastel yellow, and I'm just going to start pasting that coming down as a reflection again. Then if you take a picture of it, and then you can see little areas that you might want to change. If you do want to change something that's still a little bit damp, so it's not completely dry, just wet your brush a little bit. Now I think this line comes down a bit weird here, so I'm just going to take a wet brush and use that to almost basically like take away some of the paint. So there we go, I think I've finished. So make sure you rinse out all your brushes that you've used today really well. And there you have it, a sunset painting.